Welcome back to Sefaria's training course for educators. I'm Sarah Walkenfeld, Director of Education. By now, you're an expert at using Sefaria Sheets, and I hope that the last lesson gave you some ideas about how you might take advantage of this technology to advance your own learning goals. In this lesson, we'll talk about how Sefaria's library of texts can also serve as a great teaching tool. In our years of work with educators, we found that teachers will often use Sefaria to pull up a text on the board during class. Sefaria is ideal for learning together because all of our texts are dynamic. As we discussed earlier, you can always go deeper or pursue another line of questioning using the sidebar. In addition to the connections within our database, you can open any two texts side by side using the Other Text feature. This allows you to look back at materials from earlier in the curriculum, follow up when a student makes a mental connection between two texts, or compare two pieces from different works. Scroll past the connections and select Other Text. So, for example, when reading Shmot Perek Chaf, Exodus 20, the 10 Commandments, I might choose to open Dvarim Perek Hey, Deuteronomy 5, so that I can look at both versions of the 10 Commandments. This way, my class and I can scroll through the different versions, discussing similarities and differences, and even opening commentaries on both verses. For example, I might open a Rashi here, and then choose to open a comment of the Abarbanel on this verse. When you're done, simply close the side panels, clicking on the X's, and you'll be back with a single text. Another way to use Sefaria in your own personal learning, your class preparation, or with your students, is to add text directly to sheets. If you're reading through a text and find something that you may want to circle back to or use in a lesson, you can just click on the text, scroll down in the sidebar, and click on Sheets. Then use the Add to Sheet feature. You can add to an existing sheet using the drop-down menu to select a sheet from your list, or create a new sheet on the spot, title it, and add the source. This is also a great way for students to work as they learn things that they may want to use to write up a project or a paper later on, or if they're gathering material for a Dvar Torah or presentation. Learners can also take notes on Sefaria, and these notes will then show up in the sidebar alongside the text itself. As a teacher, this ensures that I don't forget to include any material that I intended to speak about. I'm opening up a piece of Talmud that I taught a few years ago. And as you'll be able to see, I've included links to things that I want to be sure to mention to the students. This includes articles that are related to the material, vocabulary words, commentaries that I want to be sure to mention, and other notes, thoughts, and reminders to myself. I love having my notes so accessible while I'm learning, and my students who take their notes on Sefaria appreciate this feature as well. As we consider what it means for learners to engage with digital texts, I think one of the major advantages here is the ability for learners to build their own repository of Torah thoughts, to return to them and shape them over time, so that you can really develop your own learning and share it with others. Sefaria's sidebar also contains a lot of important information, which is detailed in the rest of this lesson. I want to especially highlight the About feature. Click on About, and you'll get information about the text. Because students can access so much material on Sefaria, including books they may never have found if they've been browsing bookshelves in the school, they may find an idea that they appreciate or want to quote, but have no idea where it comes from or what the work really is. This is a well-recognized pitfall of the internet. We can access so much information, but it's out of context. Sefaria's About feature helps learners contextualize what they're reading by describing the work and giving a sense of how it functions, as well as describing other versions of the text and letting a student know which version they're accessing. Similarly, our Versions feature allows students to find out more about the version of the text that they're using. Often there's more than one option, as is the case here, and it's important to realize which version you're using, especially when dealing with translations. We should educate our students to realize that there may be more than one way of accurately translating a text, or even more than one traditional version of the text, and encourage them to think about those differences. Click on the different versions to open them in the sidebar. The rest of this lesson covers the other features in the sidebar. Enjoy, experiment with all the options, and please be in touch if you have any questions or comments.